If you've seen my other video, when I bypassed the heat exchanger that actually runs transmission fluid through just the heat exchanger that the coolant goes through, recorded pretty good difference in drop in temperature for transmission. Obviously, I was able to recover a lot quicker. Take a peek at my other videos if you want to see that. I went ahead and when I did the level 7 ATS trans, they recommended going with like an 08 cooler for it. It doesn't have the thermostat built in, so new trans, put a new cooler in it, big deal. Still just runs a little warmer than I like. Just normal driving, it usually hovers around 200. I just feel like that's a little more than it should be. Pulling skid loader around the other day, it was getting up to like 220, a lot of stop and go, that kind of stuff. So not horribly bad, but not as good as I'd like. So here we are again on today's episode of How Much Money Can I Sink in a 20-year-old Truck? We're going with the new Mishimoto heat exchanger that's like 3 times the size of the stock coolers in these trucks. So there are a few companies that are making like a package of braided hoses. That way you can completely bypass the cooler, remove the old hard lines and everything else. But they want like $350 for the kit. So I did a little bit of digging in, found the correct sizes, I'm pretty sure. So I put that kit together under $100. I'll make sure there's no other pieces that are missing and kind of show you a quick overview on how to pull the old one out, which is pretty simple. And then if there's any piece parts that come up in the meantime that I missed, I'll let you know. Otherwise, I'll drop a link in the description of what I used, where I got it from. Basically, everything's from eBay or Amazon. So I don't have a real good source for part suppliers for performance stuff around where I live. So I have to order everything in. But then you also get pretty decent prices on it too. So let's get started and we'll see if we can't get this thing to be living, hopefully, 20, 30 degrees cooler. If you're not familiar with how to get to the original trans cooler, it's pretty straightforward. A couple bolts, take your AC off. You don't have to take the lines off. There's enough flex in it where you can just kind of hang it over the bumper. You do have to pull your intercooler, no big deal. A couple clamps, easy to get to, and then you're basically right at the trans cooler that's kind of hidden back here. I'll get this thing removed here quick and do a little side-by-side comparison of the mini-me back there and the new one that we got. Well, there you have it. Actually pretty simple. Like I say, just kind of carefully rotate this dude out. And then there are 2 saddles for your intercooler. And then just 2 bolts hold it up top. Real simple removal on that one. I'll show you the little hangers on the back. Easy enough. I can tell the little bit difference from right here. Let me grab the new cooler quick and do a little side-by-side. Well, there we have it. It's a pretty dramatic difference in size here. Stock steel lines, use a 1/2-inch disconnect tool. Pretty simple to get to. AutoZone, everybody has these things. But you can see just the difference in the thickness and size alone is pretty impressive. See if we can get a measurement on this thing without making too much of a mess. Yeah, that thing's 5/8 of an inch. The original's 5/8 of an inch. This thing's coming in at right at 1.25 inches. It'll still hold still. It does come with the built-in thermostat. There's instructions on how to bypass it. Also, we're not going to be using their supplied kit to tie into the existing rubber hoses. So I'll double check, make sure my fittings are correct here quick, get this thing bypassed as I'm not using it. Get the thermostat out super easy, just like the instructions show. This thing's set at 60°C, which is like 140 degrees. I'm not going to just throw it out. It might be worth trying putting it in. I'll see what kind of differences it makes, but for now I'm just going to bypass it. I'm converting everything to -8 AM. One thing I wanted to mention on the fittings that I got anyways, the difference in the O-ring. So I'm going to be using the original, a little bit thicker O-ring, just to make sure that it seals. If I got any problems with it getting pinched or anything, I'll let you know, but you might want to keep in mind if you are buying this brand, to switch the O-rings around. Never going to hurt to have a little bit better sealing. The new exchanger is big enough, you're going to have to take this crossbar up anyways, but worth mentioning, you're going to pull the air box to get the last stud off. Good time to either clean or replace your air filter, and also while you're here, spend a little time, compressed air, blow out your radiator. It's not going to hurt anything. Just make sure that you block off with some towels your turbo, any inlets that are open from taking the intercooler ducting loose. And, why not while you're here? All right, so now the hoses are built, I always recommend flushing your hose out. Just as simple as throwing a little brake clean down them, spray a good amount down in it, hit it with a little compressed air. If there's any debris in these things, it's going to cause problems. I have seen guys build fuel system lines, not flush the hoses out after they're done. You know, they're taking their time, mounting everything in place, tightening it down, call it a day, and then all of a sudden you've got debris in there. Weird. You're not guaranteed to have clean hoses. Stuff could have got in them from routing it, whatever. So take the time, just blow it out quick. Definitely use some carb clean if you have it, or brake clean. Up top here, keep in mind that there is an inlet and an outlet, and they don't label it. Your top fitting on the trans cooler that goes through the top row, that's going to be your front port on the transmission. So the port closest to the torque converter goes to the top to the inlet, and then once the fluid runs down, it goes through this tube back up to the bottom port, which will be the rear location closest to the transfer case for the return line. And I just went ahead and marked a little bit of tape just to make sure that I remembered it, and I marked it down below. I followed pretty much all of the factory routing. They're pretty darn close. I'll show you that here in a minute once I get underneath to tighten everything up. Got the lines finally mounted and everything. Just show you real quick. I used 245s up here at the cooler. I had to actually tighten lower fitting first because there's not enough room for your wrench to pivot. So if you're using 45s like this, that's a good route. Nice secure mounting all the way through. I don't want anything rattling. There's plenty of room for the intercooler tube. Let's see if you can kind of see where it went. Let's see here. It went on top of the battery cables. I have plenty of room around the steering column, or the steering shaft. And then if it'll focus, which it probably won't, there's on top of the motor mount a nice secure bolt that's holding the line that you can get to also mount it. Just make sure it's not going to hit anything moving. You should be good. I'll slide underneath, take a look underneath there for you too. It'll be a little difficult to get this thing to show you really clearly what I got going on, I think, but messed with a bunch of different options on routing it, and this is what I came up with: 90 on the rear, keeping everything nice and high to the floorboard, and actually did a 45 at the front port in between the spring and that cable there. And then you can see over here, I pretty much followed the original routing, tied it up to this bracket, and there's a location to tie it to up a little farther above the starter. You can't really see, but I hate things that are rattling around, and that was the cleanest way to keep it away from the drive shaft. I do drive this truck in a field a lot, so I didn't want anything low hanging, whatever. So 3 45s and 190 is what I ended up with fitting wise. And while I'm at it, this is the leftover hose that I have, about 7 foot or so. That was on a 20-foot roll. So if you can find it in the 15 section, I think the only options when I was looking at it was either, I think it was only 10 or 20, that's why I went with the 20, but either way, you will have some left over, which is always a good thing. So after about a 30-minute drive in town, I'm seeing a maximum of just under 175. Typically, I'd see low 200s on that same drive. It's about 83 degrees out right now. So I would say probably comfortably it's dropping 30 to 40 degrees off temperatures. And also just letting it sit here and idle for a second. It just recovers really quick. I'm gonna check fluid again, make sure there's no leaks. Other than that, it's pretty much a wrap. I'm pretty impressed. I was hoping for maybe 15 to 20 degrees, not 30 plus. But I did end up having to add about 5.5 quarts of fluid, so just make sure that you have some fluid on hand, because it does take quite a bit. That volume is definitely increased well. So I've always wondered, if I'm checking for leaks and stuff on a temp gun, what the difference between the inlet temperature is. Which this is only showing 142. 160 at the fitting. So the return is showing 135. I'll take it. That's a heck of an upgrade. I'd say it's definitely worth your time. Thanks for watching.